Dear children, welcome to the online classes of biology. So we were studying the morphology of plants. In the previous class we have learned about the inflorescence. Okay, there are mainly two inflorescence. What are they? Racemose and cymose. What is racemose inflorescence? In this type of inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow, producing the flowers. Okay, laterally on the ratchet on the what the stem, okay, on the stalk, in an acropetal succession. Understood? In cymose, what happened? The main axis that terminates in a flower. Okay, it terminates in a flower and it's having limited growth, isn't it? It terminates in a flower and then the other flowers. Okay, inflorescence means group of flowers only, isn't it? The other flowers will grow on the stalk, okay, in a basipetal order. Understood? So this is what the racemose and cymose inflorescence. Now we are going to study about the flower. Okay, so what is the speciality of a flower in a plant? It is the reproductive unit, isn't it? And for what? Sexual reproduction. Okay, reproductive unit, and it is the main structure that involves in sexual reproduction. Okay, so we can array, or we can divide the parts of the flower into four whorls, okay, that are arranged on the tip of the stalk. Okay, that tip is swollen, or it is more thick, and there only all the whorls are arranged, and these are known as, that swollen part of the stalk, okay, is known as the thalamus or receptacle. Okay, so thalamus or receptacle are what? Swollen end of the stalk or the pedicel. Okay, and in this thalamus or receptacle, the four whorls are arranged. So what are the four whorls? Calyx, okay, corolla, andrecium and gynoecium. Okay, calyx and corolla are accessory organs. Okay, they are not what? Involving directly in the reproduction. So they are also known as essential, non-essential part. Okay, they are also known as what? Non-essential part of the flower. Calyx and corolla. And andrecium and gynoecium, they are directly involves in the reproduction process, isn't it? So they are known as essential parts. Understood? Then in some flowers you can see calyx and corolla are not distinguishable, okay, and they are what? They are termed as perianth. So what is perianth? If there is what structures of what? Calyx and corolla which are not distinguishable, then that structure, that means it will look like a flower. Understood? But the petals, you cannot say it as petal or sepal. Okay, it is actually not distinguishable. So that kind of what structure is known as perianth. Okay, so the flowers, or what are the units of all this? Calyx are made up of sepals, corolla are made up of petals, and andreciums are made up of the stamens. Okay, and gynoecium is made up of carpels. Understood? Then if a flower is having both andrecium and gynoecium, then that flower is known as bisexual flower. Okay, so what is bisexual flower? If the flower is having both andrecium and gynoecium. Understood? And then if a flower is having only stamens or only carpels, means any of this, only if a flower is having, then we call it as what? Unisexual flower. Okay, bisexual flower and unisexual flower, you understood now? Bisexual means if both andrecium and gynoecium are there, and unisexual means if only one part, that is either andrecium or gynoecium is present, then we call it as what? Unisexual flower. Now next is what? Symmetry. Okay, so the flower can be actinomorphic, okay, or zygomorphic. So do you remember radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry? Same only. Okay. So actinomorphic means if the flower can be divided into two equal halves through any plane. Okay, if it can be cut into two equal halves through any plane, that is known as actinomorphic flower. Okay, and the zygomorphic flower means they are having bilateral symmetry. What is bilateral symmetry? If the flower can be divided into two equal halves through only one plane. Understood? Then it is known as zygomorphic flower. Understood? Then, so almost all the flowers, okay, are actinomorphic like mustard, dhatura, chili, okay, and some flowers like what peas, gulmohar, beans, cassia. Okay, so these flowers are actually belonging to Leguminosae family. Okay, so they are having in them you can see zygomorphic flowers. Okay, zygomorphic flowers. And a flower can be asymmetric if it cannot be divided into two equal halves. Okay, asymmetric we have studied, isn't it? In animals also we have studied. So, like this, on the basis of the symmetry, the flowers can be actinomorphic, zygomorphic, or asymmetric. Understood? Then, next topic is the flower can be trimerous, tetramerous, or pentamerous. Trimerous means what? The floral appendages like what? Sepals, petals, andrecium, okay, gynoecium, all this, or stamens or carpels. If they are multiples of 3, okay, or if the number is 3, their number is 3 or multiples of 3, then we call it as what? Trimerous flower. So what is tetramerous flower then? If the number of floral appendages are 4 or multiples of 4. For example, 4 petals, okay, 4 sepals and 8 stamens it can have. Means 4 or multiples of 4 if we take the number. Understood? Then what is pentameters? If the flower is having the floral parts in 5 or multiples of 5, then they are known as pentamerous flower. Is it clear? So like this flower can be described as trimerous, tetramerous, or pentamerous. Then flowers with bracts. So what are bracts? Reduced leaf like structure found at the base of the pedicel. Okay, pedicels like stipules we have seen now in the leaf. So just like that at the base of the what the stalk. Okay, if stalk of the flower is called what? Pedicel, isn't it? At the base of the pedicel, if what leaf like structures, understood, reduced leaf like structures found is known as what? Bract. And if a flower is having bract, then that flower is known as bracteate flower. Okay, and if it is absent, then ebracteate. Okay, ebracteate. Now, on the basis of the position of calyx, corolla, and andrecium with respect to the ovary on the thalamus, the flowers are of different types. They are hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous. Okay, so on what basis? On the basis of the relative position of various whorls with respect to what? Ovary. Other whorls with respect to ovary. Okay, so hypogynous flower, they are what? The flowers in which you can see the ovary is superior. Understood? So gynoecium occupies in the highest position and the other parts are forming from the lower part. For example, see here, this is a hypogynous flower. Understood? So ovary is here, this part is the ovary. Okay, and all other parts are arising from a level low to this. You can see this is the thalamus, and in the thalamus ovary is arranged on the top and other parts are forming from the lower part of the ovary. That kind of flower is known as what? Hypogynous flower, or what to say, which are having superior ovary. Understood? So hypogynous flower means what? Gynoecium occupies the superior position, highest position. So just imagine, if hypo means low, isn't it? Hypogynous flower means ovary will be superior. Example is what? Mustard, China rosa, brinjal, isn't it? In brinjal you can see the sepal is down even after the formation of fruit, isn't it? Clear? And the ovary is becoming the fruit actually, isn't it? So fruit is found above the sepal. Understood? So this kind of flowers are known as what? Hypogynous flowers. Now what is perigynous flower then? Okay, you can see Perigynas flowers diagrams here. So ovary, you can see it is formed in the half part or half distance of the thalamus, isn't it? And other parts like what? Sepals, petals, etc., they are also formed almost in the same level, isn't it? So this kind of flowers where the ovary, then what? The sepals, petals, etc., okay, they are originated somewhat in the same level, then it is known as what? Perigynous flower. Okay, now the flower is also, that perigynous flower is also known as what? Half inferior. Examples are what? Plums, roses, peach, etc. Okay, they are also known as what? Half inferior flower or perigynous flower. Okay, now next is what? Epigynous flower. Epigynous flowers are those, okay, in which you can see the ovary is inferior. Ovary is found below the sepals and petals. Okay, and the flower is called epigynous flower. Okay, epigynous flower. The margin of the thalamus grows upward and encloses the ovary. Okay, and it will be getting fused with the what? The ovary wall. You can see here. Okay, epigynous flower. The you can see the side will grow and it will what? Enclose the ovary, and from the side of this only what? Other walls are originating. Understood? So this kind of flowers are known as epigynous flower. So what are epigynous flower? In which the margin of the thalamus grows up and it encloses the ovary and it fuses with the ovary, and that kind of ovary is known as what? Inferior ovary. Okay, in guava you can see that very clearly, isn't it? In guava you see the sepals, even after the formation of the fruit, you can see sepals are persisting in them and they are placed in the upper part of the fruit, isn't it? And what? This cucumbers, okay, in the ray florets actually of the sunflower, means guava, cucumber, and also in the ray florets of sunflower you can see what? Epigynous flowers. So what are epigynous flowers? Where ovary will be inferior. Understood? In hypogynous flower, ovary will be superior. Okay, and in perigynous flower, they will be almost, the ovary and the other walls will be almost in the same level. Understood? So these are what? The various kinds of what? Flowers depends upon what? The position of the androecium, then corolla, calyx, etc., with respect to the ovary. Okay, so they are what? Hypogynous flowers, perigynous flowers, and epigynous flowers. Is it clear? So about flower you understood what all we learned today. Thalamus. What is thalamus? Is the swollen tip of the stalk or pedicel. What is the stalk of a flower? Is mainly known as pedicel. Okay, pedicel. And pedicel's tip is known as what? The thalamus, and in which only all the organs, whorls are arranged. Understood? Then if a flower is having both the sexes, means both the androecium and gynoecium, then it is known as bisexual flower. And if the flower is having any one of this, then it is known as unisexual flower. Then we learned about what? Symmetry. On the basis of symmetry, the flowers can be divided into actinomorphic, zygomorphic, and asymmetric. Okay, actinomorphic means they can be divided, the flower can be divided into two equal halves through any plane. Okay, then zygomorphic means bilateral symmetry, means only through one plane it can be cut into two equal halves. Okay, asymmetric means we cannot cut them. Then we learned about Trimeris, Tetramerase and Pentameters flowers. If the floral parts or floral appendages are 3 or multiples of 3, then it is known as Trimeris. If it is 4 or multiples of 4, then it is Tetramerase. And if it is 5 or multiples of 5, then it is Pentameters. If the flowers are having bracts, that kind of flowers are known as bracteate flower. And if they are not having, then it is known as Ebracteate flower. Understood? Now, we also learned about the what various kinds of flowers on the basis of what the position, relative positions of various worlds or various floral parts, isn't it? Like what calyx, corolla, and androecium with respect to the ovary or ovary on the thalamus. Okay, they are what hypogynous flower, Perigynas flower, and the Epigynous flower. Okay, so with the help of diagram also you practice all this. This is all very important to understand the parts of a flower.